Hello everyone, welcome to my channel Tarot with AnneMarie, all about tarot tuition. The Hierophant is a difficult card. It's one that people often struggle with, and they really do actually say, oh, gosh, I don't know what to do with that. Probably because of its sort of religious sort of looking context in the card. And what does it mean? If you are just curious, if you are a seasoned tarot reader, or you want to ask, or you're struggling with something, or you've got something that you could share for everybody that you think would really help. Because in this journey of ours, it's all about trying to find out the best ways that we can actually bring in our tarot readings. Let's just do a little talk about what's going on in this card. We've got a Hierophant sitting there on what looks like a chair or some sort of throne. And it also looks like it's, again, one of those stone or concrete sort of type seats. A little bit cold, a little bit harsh. But our figure is looking as if they are a religious character, and they are wearing a red robe which covers a white shirt, and is shoes that are showing underneath the outfit. And if we look closely, there's a little bit of blue going on there as well. And then if we look down the front of the red robe, got it trimmed with white, and we can see 3 crosses. And those 3 crosses represent the Holy Trinity, which is the Father, which is the mind, the Son, which is body, and the Holy Ghost or the Holy Spirit, which represents spirit. All is one in God is what this means. And it indicates some very strict beliefs held by the teacher being a Hierophant. And it means that they adhere to the rules and that they are very much about not changing or bending the rules in any sort of way. At the bottom of our figure's white trim on the robe, can you see there's a little, very bottom there, just before you see the shoes? It's a tiny little diamond shape. And that tiny little diamond shape is an alchemy symbol, which represents our soul's journey, and that we are seeking enlightenment. Now, underneath this tunic of this gown and robe of red, he is wearing a little bit of blue. You can see that sticking out underneath at the bottom near the white shoes, and a little bit at the top, as in round the neck. And it drapes to the floor, and that kind of shows that he's grounded and his connection with his teachings. So it's like, I firmly believe in what I'm talking about. And this is governed by a whole load of beliefs which are delivered from a Hierophant. And with the cross on his shoes, if you can see that, the little white shoes there with the cross, it's showing that he's walking his way of conviction. He's wearing what looks like a papal hat, and it's got a triple crown on there. And again, this is connected with the Holy Trinity governing his thoughts. This red robe that he's wearing is just significant and symbolic of desire and potential and determination. And the white that we can see on the trim around the robe and the sleeves that we can see on him just represents integrity and purity. Now, he is also gesturing, and this is a spiritual blessing. And we see this in other cards. I don't know if anyone actually can think of another card where we actually see this. Yes, this is a papal blessing, but it's also in another card within the actual Rider-Waite sort of deck, or based Rider-Waite decks. And this action is anointing or blessing the 2 men that are in front of the Hierophant. So our figure looks like a pope, and he is gesturing that this is a blessing to the men in front of him. And the action of this is acting a bit like what we see in the magician, pulling down the energy from heaven down to earth for spiritual energy. If we look at the two in front of the Hierophant, our two figures, they look like monks, and one of them's got red roses showing a desire for knowledge, and the other one's wearing white lilies on a blue tunic, which is showing and symbolizing life and rebirth and wanting new starts. So the flowered garments show that they are grounded and open and willing to learn, and that they've invested a lot of time in following the practice of the Hierophant and his teachings. There is this whole thing here in this card where people go, but I don't really practice religious sort of things. Hold on, bear with me. Let's just finish just describing what's going on. All right. So we've got some cross keys at the bottom there. I don't know if you can see. Some say they're both golden, and in some decks you'll find that one's gold and one's silver, and just symbolic of the keys of life. And they bear cross of the 4 elements. So that's our elements of the air, water, and fire, and earth. And the triple barred papal cross that he's holding in his hand is significant to represent, again, the Holy Trinity of the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. And his vestments are also said to represent 3 different worlds. Okay? His right hand is the of giving that blessing, the sign of almost an act of benediction. And who is the Hierophant? As a person, he is conventional, conservative, and he follows things to the letter. He rarely deviates from his path. And he is somebody that has a deep respect for tradition and structure. And he needs to conform. He needs to be part of something, probably leading and saying, look, I can't do this on my own. I need an organization. And in this case, if it's the Pope that we're looking at here, or papal figure, we're getting the fact that he's the one that's doing the leading. And he's the one that's actually preaching here and giving the facts and the rules and the boundaries to the monks. He's also probably making them feel, and this is definitely, you'll find this in different books, that they are not able to connect to the divine, to God, to spirituality without that. They need him. Oh gosh, we have to come here to worship because we can't talk to God. We can't talk to God without our Hierophant or our Pope or our priest. This is what this is about. I need you, and I can't do this on my own. And I'm following everything you say, and I know that these rules that I have to adhere to them. And it's one of those things where we've got to actually look at the fact that we do need in our lives to have something that's beyond us. We need conformity, we need institution, we need beliefs, whether they're religious or traditional. We need teachings, we need governments, we need local authorities, rules that we must follow. So it's a feeling of conformity. But let's do a little bit about the meanings. And first of all, the Hierophant is connected with the astrological sign of Taurus. And Taurus is all about our finance, matters of contracts. I'll come to that in a minute. Keys to life, which I talked about, that sit right down at his feet, and conforming. There's also a little bit of hypocrisy here. Again, I'll talk to you about that. And morals and ethics, codes, teachings, red tape, things of traditional matters and official matters. Definitely the kind of thing where we need to follow rules. So things like governments, universities, schools, there are rules. You can't join unless you've done this exam and you can prove yourself and you can do that. If you want to be part of our religious organization, perhaps there is a rite of passage. Maybe there are things like you need to be baptized, you need to be christened, you need to go through ceremony, and so on. there are things of, no, you have to do this. It's like you can't have Holy Communion in the Catholic Church unless you made your first confession and then made your first Holy Communion to follow that. And there are rules. You can't just walk up and go, I'd really like that, please, because you're not part of that organisation following their traditional beliefs and rules. And it's very comforting to be part of something. But that's the traditional religious sort of aspect. What about the fact that it's like governments and things like that? Yeah, look at it as red tape. This could even be the taxman, really, because it's like, well, you have to pay your taxes because we won't survive unless people make their contributions. It's passports. I'm applying for a passport and they will say yes or no to you. Will they give me a visa? Yes or no? This is where you'd look when people say, oh gosh, I really want this job and will I be all right? I'd look for the Hierophant and see who is in charge, such as HR, and what sort of contract. Hierophant, contracts. I'm going to give you a contract. Here's the red tape. You must sit down, stand up, take 2 weeks off, be here Monday to Friday. You must not work remotely, or you must work remotely, or you must inform us if you're coming in, because after the world shut down and everybody had to rethink how we all work due to COVID, etc., they changed the rules. That's the Hierophant. And the Hierophant is also teachers. Don't just think it's a religious figure like the Pope or a bishop or a priest. It could be imam, it could be a rabbi, it could be a teacher, it could be your tutor, it could be the person that decides whether or not they're going to allow you to take the entry exam. It could be your driving examiner. They've got the powers of red tape to give you that piece of paper that's universally accepted within your nation to say, yes, you are allowed to drive in this country or that country. It's the red tape. It's also linked to finance. So banks and institutions and financial institutions. She's saying she always gets this card when people are asking about jobs and interviews. It's precisely what it's all about. If somebody was saying to you, oh gosh, what do you think? The people that were interviewing me, do you think they'll offer me a contract? I'd be looking to see what's going on with this. And as you know, he's a big old spread. I use all of the 22 major arcana cards in my advanced spread. I always use the advanced spread, even if somebody's ringing up and I think it's 10 minutes call the Hierophant, the actual system and the gubbins that goes on at my website that takes the finances, that actually says, this is a contract that you would like to have a reading, and that's the agreed time and price, and this is our transaction financially, and it's contract agreed. And if it's forcing that person, if they don't like it or want it, they'll just pass it by. So it's that, but it's boundaries, it's contracts, it's finances, it's teachers, it's tutors, it's professors, it's lecturers, it's examiners, somebody that is going to actually, perhaps board of governors. It's those kind of panels, people that have got the authority to say, you're in, or off you go, not for us. So they can say yes or no to you. And it is about interviews and jobs, yes. So please don't fear that it's just something that you ought to get rid of because you don't understand it. And I know the temptation to want to actually pull something out of a deck and actually go, I don't really want to use that card because I don't know what to say about it. Also, I just want to go back to his shoes. There's a cross on his shoes. And that just says that he's grounded and that he will walk the path of his conviction. And I said to you, there's a kind of hypocritical feel to this card. For those of you in the UK, I just want you to picture, if you will, or remember, there was a program called Keeping Up Appearances. The title tells you everything. And in that was a character called Hyacinth Bouquet. And I'm sorry for people that don't know this program, as in they're outside of the UK or never saw it, too young or whatever. But it was all about her actually wanting to be seen, to be doing everything perfectly, correctly. Oh, do come and look at my fine china. Do actually look at how good I am. Do look at the fact that I'm Lady Bountiful. You're poorly, and here am I. Can you see how I'm looking after you? Can everybody see that? Look, I made this, and here I am, and there's a fate, and I want everybody to know that I made that, and I did that, and I'm responsible for that, and I'm a good person. It's very much a case of kind of, can you see that I'm trying to be a good person, and that you need me, and that I'm part of this? And it doesn't mean I'm better than. It just means I'm keeping up. I'm keeping up. I'm not slacking. I did my bit. Yeah. And again, it's a bit like people saying, yes, I went to the church and I said, I'm really sorry for everything that I should have done better this week, or that forgive me for my sins, bless me. And they probably come out and go, that's what I did. And then they might just be really mean to someone that they know, or really harsh. Oh, I didn't see you at church. A bit judgmental. Bit why? This kind of thing. Why weren't you there? What was the matter? It's a bit like that. And sometimes it's about keeping up with the Joneses. Here am I. I'm doing this. What are you doing? And I'm not sure I approve of that, but you approve of me, don't you? So there can be a feeling of hypocrisy. I would also say, if this card comes up in a reading and it's about a person and they're asking about a job, shall we say, that honestly, this would be where I would look. How's it going to go for them? And what's the card next to it? Is it a positive card? You know that I use this method of pairs, and that I always combine cards, and I always use a certain spread. I'll never deviate from that. And as I said, whether you have 10 minutes or 5 hours with me, you will get the same spread. It's very different if somebody is actually doing something of a yes or no question, which is quite hard with tarot, but not impossible, and you need to know what you're looking for. But again, if you combine cards and you're using pairs, say you've got the Hierophant, you've got another card there that's actually negative. It might be saying it's a struggle right now, or your communication wasn't good. The Hierophant, by the way, I always say, look, it's a great card of communication, and that's just a personal thing for me. I always feel that clear communication, somebody that probably will give you the facts. They'll probably say to you, you know what, it's Monday, and on Monday, this is what I eat, and I never deviate from that. And you know what, on Tuesday, I always do X, and that's my routine. So it can be somebody that's very traditional, can be somebody that's very grounded, it can be somebody that is a stickler for rules, and oh no, I don't want I couldn't possibly. That's my day for egg and chips or spaghetti bolognese. I couldn't possibly have chicken. Don't ask me to. It's somebody that finds it very hard to, that's just a for example, but somebody that finds it can be a bit stubborn, that can feel that it works for them, and why are you trying to mess with it? Don't bend the rules. What's wrong with you? Don't you know it's this? It's a bit like they might turn around and go, is everything all right? And the person says, actually, no, it's not. And this person is going, I don't understand why. You're fed, you're watered, you've got shelter, I'm talking to you. What's with you? They're just very grounded, very earthy, can appear to actually be a bit set in their ways and not understand beyond that, because the facts are there. You've been fed, and I've done everything. I've looked at everything. Didn't you see? I've done everything. So why? Why? What's the matter with you? So that can be the energy of the Hierophant, a stickler, finding it very difficult to break free from rules and wanting to actually follow path of tradition, obligations, and yeah, passionate Saji. I don't know if I actually brought that on. She's saying yes, more about hierarchy. Absolutely. And so the Hierophant can mean that we actually need organisations beyond ourselves. So it might be a case of, let's say it's a charity, and you can't do it all. So you try and get a committee or an organisation, a group, where you've all got this thing in mind, but it's got to be organised, it's got to be grounded, it's got to be official, it's got to be that maybe there's minutes taken, that might need a bank account. Can you see what I mean? It's about making it official. It's also a good one when it comes up with some of the cups or court cards, and we'll be doing combinations of the Hierophant next Tuesday, showing you how to read this card with combined cards. And the combined cards are always minor cards being used with the card that I'm teaching on Thursdays. So our card this week is the Hierophant. So I'll be showing you how other minor cards can change what the Hierophant's about, and whether it's about finance, or whether it's about work, or whether it's about relationships. In relationships, it would mean that this is somebody that's very traditional, somebody that's very loyal, somebody that's going to grit their teeth, grin and bear it, and go, I signed up for this, and you know what? I'm here come what may. Bit like the contract of marriage. Don't always feel that this is a church or a religious sort of ceremony. You can actually have verbal contracts of marriage, or written contract, verbal contract. It would need to be that, but it can often come up, as in with relationship cards, which would tell you that for marriage, but you would need both. You can't just say, oh, I've got the Ten of Cups, that's it. It means this, it means that. You've got to look at the position of where it is in the spread, who, what, where, when, how, yeah? What's crossing it? What's the influences? What's third parties? What's the obstacles that they are being challenged with? Them as a person, as themselves, physically, them intellectually, them emotionally, spiritually, financially, work, daily routine. All of that's in the actual positions of the spread. If this lands in the 7th house, which would definitely be about relationships, not just that of a romantic kind, but if it was with cups and they were asking about somebody, you would look to see if it's favourable with the other cups. Is it good cups? That kind of like, they're bothered, you know. I don't feel anything. Don't care if it's this or that. You can get that. Okay, or you could get, I'm absolutely put my heart and soul into it. This is what I want. And also, what will they do? Not what do they just feel. You've got to look for that. And so, yeah, this is a method that I can help you with. But most definitely, a Hierophant is, I do understand, a card that is full of confusion, possibly because it makes us think, gosh, it's religious, isn't it? I think that back then, when the deck was probably being created, it was very symbolic of rules and regulations and traditions. And I think that we have so many more, like I mentioned, hospitals, universities, governments, councils, all these kind of things. A lot of things that are going on in the Hierophant that I understand can make a reader kind of freeze or want to skip over the card or take out the deck altogether. I've had people go, take that one out, don't want to know. I can understand that, but eventually, you know, you get your confidence. Also, nice to think of someone. I tried to give you Hyacinth Bouquet, who was just a little bit of a bossy boots, trying to show everybody that her ways were, don't you approve of me? You know, don't you think I'm a good person? That kind of thing. But it can also be somebody that just is so stubborn that you can't move them. Oh no, I can't go out after 6 o'clock at night. Well, absolutely not. And they can almost be aggressive with you. You don't ask me again. So that's, if it comes up as a person, that's what it would be. Contracts, of course, marriage contracts, verbal or religious or spiritual or even official, registrars, things like that. Yeah? Legal, you'd have to look at the other cards. But I think that anything of an official nature mustn't be confused with legal. But it can be the contract. You could look and go, oh, it's a legal binding agreement. Yes, it probably is. in certain contexts, but just know it's a contract, perhaps written, email, hard copy, sometimes verbal. I've even seen this come up, believe it or not, in a reading many years ago, as in not discussing somebody's reading recently, where somebody broke an engagement, so they broke the contract. And she said to me, I'm a bit worried. He's very cross. I've broken this contract. And she said, what do you see? And we looked at her. And and that contract was so important to this individual who was full of tradition, etc., that quite simply he sued for breach of contract. I'm not saying that in a thrilling way, but yeah, there are consequences to breaking contracts. It could break your contract at work. I didn't do this, and so then HR could be involved. Then it could be up before the board, and people saying we can't have this. You can't do that. That's the Hierophant. I want to show you this. Is my new amethyst, and I am told that this is EG around it. The energy from it is absolutely beautiful. And I just thought I'd show you that. Got that at a Christmas fair. Sorry, my studio lights are probably shining on that in a certain way. But I just thought I'd show you that. It's lovely. And I've got lots of amethyst. I think you've probably seen this one before. But there's another amethyst. Lots of little clusters. Amethyst is great for psychic development and your third eye, and helping you just get the purity of the information through your third eye and helping you connect. I would highly recommend this. Actually had this year's. I think we got that in Scotland. I think so. This one, Christmas market. And I just thought, yes, please. And there's a nice clear quartz. To actually amplify. Hierophant, all very different from the one I showed you. So here's the Hierophant from the Urban Tarot. Yeah, the Urban Tarot. And that just shows an image of a priest, and there's a white dove presenting purity, peace. There's a cross there, and then you've got a glass of water, as in, just so you don't think that's a bit odd, that's the amethyst there, isn't it? Let's bring it back so you can see it. That represents the balance between the spiritual and the life that we are living on the earth plane. So the balance between walking as a human and trying to connect with our belief system spiritually, and having to do our daily lives and be part of this world that we're living in, and not to mix the two up. A very different image. And yeah, there you've got the staff that a Pope, it was shown, same here. But it's giving you that kind of religious-y sort of type feel to it. But it's absolutely lovely. This is a great deck. Some brilliant ideas. But it might be really hard if it's your first sort of deck. It might really work for you. It depends who you are, but if you are struggling, just have a look at different decks, see what you think. Rider-Waite will definitely help you, because the symbology that's in the cards consistently, and so you can go, I can see that, it's got that, it's got that, it's got that. Whereas some of them you wouldn't see it at all. A bit like here. Look at that. This is the Housewives Tarot. But why this? Anybody? Does anybody know? Oh, Passionate Sagi's saying it's beautiful. I think she's talking about my lovely crystal. Thank you very much. I think so too. I'm very passionate about my crystals. I do actually really work with them a lot. They're everywhere. Why this? Quite simply because sometimes we actually need to listen to the news that we're being fed from our community, from the collective, and we're hearing messages, but also maybe good or bad, might know. We might be hearing all the good that they want us to know, and all the bad that they want us to know. So it could be there's a darkness there and there's a lightness there, if you like. We're being fed, they want us to know, rather than just us and us believing it, perhaps. I'm not saying it's not, but what I'm saying is we're fed and we go, oh, right, that's gospel. I heard it on the radio. I heard it. It's an old-fashioned image. It's like 1950s sort of housewife deck. It's wonderful. But it can make you think, as in, we've been preached to. Am I getting everything? Remember I said, go back to the Hierophant. The belief is, oh, you need me to actually talk to God. That is part of what that card's traditional meaning was about. And yes, sometimes we do need that, but sometimes we need to work out, actually, I could do that on my own. Sometimes you need it, sometimes you don't. That's the point. So I think that's rather lovely. This is a deck that I created 2006. I got it printed. I had a website, and my friend who was a lawyer advised me at the time, why don't you do your own deck, So I did it as in for the graphic images because I wanted it to look good on the computer, not too detailed because you can lose the detail as in when it comes up on your website. And so I worked with an artist and a graphic designer and I came up with that deck. So I thought I'd show you our simple sort of having a go at the Hierophant. That's many years ago. All right, I love this one. A Hierophant here. Look, this is a different faith. Wonderful. And look at all the symbols. Different faiths. There we are. There's our teacher. There's our leader. There's our community. Hanging on every word. Beautiful image. Wisdom. And then teaching us how to do it. Teaching us as a group how to work together. And then teaching us the rules and regulations of life. Very different, lovely deck. Gorgeous size for small hands. If you've got small hands, I love that. Beautiful deck, as in very freeing. The path to enlightenment, connecting there, all this here. But quite hard to actually just start off with that. Would be for me. And you can see, look, yeah, getting that coming up, as in, same here. Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. This one. These two are from the same people, I think 2005, these. The Baba Prague by Alex Yuklov and Karen Mahoney. And this one is a fantastic menagerie tarot. And there we have, it's all about animals. I absolutely loved it. There's different animals in different scenes, and here it is. It looks like he's preaching and they're listening. What have we got to do? And it looks as if they've all got their vestments on, as if they're listening to what's going on. But it almost looks as if preaching from the pulpit and they're taking it all on board here. It almost looks as if it's almost like a court of law, doesn't it? See what you want, whatever's right for you. This one again, very similar to this, and this is the Romantic Tarot, and this again is the Hierophant. Going and studying, I would say this one makes me feel it's much more of a Jewish faith. This is more Christian or Catholic, Christian, whatever. And this is more like the government's preaching to you. This one, it's more the rabbi, again, or the church. And this one makes me think of different faiths, such as the Imam, and being able to actually study the details. We've all got our different faiths, we've all got our different religions, and they've all got their own rules as to what they believe in. They're studying, and beautiful. Wisdom, books, knowledge, reading from here, reading from the Bible here. He's got books in the background here. Here's our actual gesture. This one, Path to Enlightenment, as in very happy image. But I find that quite difficult just to get from that. I love it, but I think that I'd miss a lot if I was just working with that deck and that card came up. Yes, I know its meanings, but if it was the first time is what I'm referring to, I wouldn't be able to go like that if I was relying on the symbology or the colours or things like that. I absolutely love it. One of my absolute favourite decks, and I wouldn't have things that I don't like. But I can understand that sometimes certain decks speak to you. I wouldn't do a full reading with this. I think it's great. I think it's a very broad, quick, key point message. But likewise, works for you. This one again, beautiful. What's going on here? Very much based on what I showed you, as in one. And I hope that it helps you. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you on Tuesday. Have a beautiful week, and bye-bye for now.